Good morning. It's the 11th of the 11th. Do your own research into the portal that opens on the 11th. It's about manifestation. You can manifest today and the portals are open. It's up to you. And I would urge everybody that is waiting for change not to wait any longer. Create the change. That's down to you. You can create the world you want to live in rather than waiting for it. If you wait for it, somebody else will create it. And maybe the creation that they create is not what you want. So it's down to you to create the change. Today is the 11th of the 11th. It's your opportunity to create that change. Welcome, Paul. Welcome, Drew.
Good morning, Charlie. Hello, Drew. Hello, everybody. Well, my first story. FBI Director Kash Patel made a secret visit to Beijing last week to discuss fentanyl and law enforcement issues. Patel reportedly met with Chinese officials for about a day, though neither side has confirmed the talks. The visit follows President Trump's recent meeting with Xi Jinping and comes amid US accusations that China is enabling the flow of fentanyl precursors linked to thousands of overdose deaths in the United States each year.
Yeah, and these sort of things are all part of the unpicking of what's going on. I can tell you on very good authority that behind the scenes, the communication lines between China, between Russia, between Trump, I'll say Trump rather than America, between Trump, are open and healthy. They are communicating very, very well. But the world has to see what is being unpicked. One of the biggest problems in the States has been drugs. And one of the biggest drug dealers in the US is the CIA. They were the ones who created this problem, and they're the ones who are going to have to resolve this problem. Drew?
Good morning, everyone. First up, going to the UK, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has accused the European Union of still wrecking misery on small British businesses. Speaking in Westminster to hundreds of entrepreneurs, Farage claimed that lingering EU-style regulations and a low VAT threshold are suffocating enterprises. He announced a new Small Business for Reform initiative led by Checker Trade founder Kevin Bryan to push for deregulation and tax reform. Critics say most red tape now originates in Westminster, not Brussels, but Farage insists Britain remains tied to what he calls EU bureaucracy.
It's very, very true. What we're seeing in America is an example of why you should have somebody in charge who is a businessman. In the UK, not one of these people who makes the regulations for business has run a business. And this is the problem with the British government. They're all career politicians. And what you need to run a business is not theory. It's practice. Because you learn a lot more from practice than you do from theory. And for anyone who's learned the theory and then gets to the practical side, you think it's a different world. And the problem in the British government, it was the same in America, is it was run by people who'd never run a business. There are things that when you run a business, you never ever can describe in theory. And this is why business in the UK has failed, because the people who set the parameters and rules and regulations and tax have never run the business. Whereas if you let a businessman set the rules, entrepreneurs will be allowed to flourish. But they don't want you to. They don't want you to flourish. They want you to collapse, because if you're collapsing, you become dependent on them. And that's what they want for a one world government. It's time to wake up, stand up, and if you don't, they'll take your power away from you.
My next story. Ukraine's anti-corruption agency, NABU, has raided properties linked to Timur Mindich, a long-time associate of President Zelensky, as well as Justice Minister German Galushenko and state nuclear operator Energoatom. Naboo says it is targeting a high-level criminal organisation in the energy sector following over a year of investigations. The raids uncovered large sums of cash, and Mindich, whose influence spans energy and defence, is reportedly also under investigation by the US FBI for alleged money laundering.
Well, you only have to have a look at what Zelensky's actually bought in the last 4 years to realise there's huge problems with corruption in that country. That all covers up two things. The reason for this war. Number one, they were creating bioweapons in 36 bio-laboratories in the Donbass region. And they were also the hub of human trafficking. All of this is to cover that up. And it'll all be exposed. When people wake up to the truth as to what is really going on in Ukraine, then it'll make a lot more sense. Vladimir Putin is against bioweapons being created in the Donbass region and human trafficking. And when you realise that, then you'll start to understand the conflict. And while this is going on, all the money that's pouring in to these corrupt people who are involved in bioweapons and human trafficking, they're not using the money for what they should, they're using it for things that they shouldn't.
Next up, Elon Musk's platform X will allegedly add left-leaning community notes to balance things out. Critics call it censorship. Elon calls it democracy. Users call it Wednesday. At this point, X is less a social network and more a public nervous breakdown.
Well, on that very point, it's very interesting. The deep state, the cabal, the establishment, their biggest mistake was the COVID lockdown. The reason for that is when you lock people down and lock them in their houses, the television becomes boring. When the television becomes boring, people look elsewhere. And they looked to YouTube, to BitChute, to Rumble, to Twitter, to X, to True Social, to Instagram, to Facebook. They looked elsewhere. And people were asking questions that mainstream media weren't. They're now going, what the hell do we do to stop this? People aren't looking at the mainstream media anymore. And on that same subject, the BBC are now in big trouble because of the editing that they did and the fact that they knew about that 6 months before and nothing was done. Now they're wheeling out people to try and defend what they did. Susanna Reid. Susanna, few years ago, 20 years ago, you were pretty. And you could get away with lying to the public. Now you're pretty, but you're pretty old. And it doesn't have the same impact. People can see through your bullshit. They can see who's paying you. It's time for the truth, Susanna, instead of propaganda. You're either on the side of the people or on the side of evil. Your choice, not mine.
My next story. Speaking of organisations in trouble, the International Olympic Committee is considering a major policy change that could bar transgender women from competing in female events. Sources say the move, expected to be announced early next year, is part of a push by the new IOC President Kirsty Coventry to protect the female category. The decision follows a scientific review suggesting physical advantages may persist even after hormone treatment. This marks a shift from the current system, which lets individual sports federations set their own rules and reignites debate over fairness in women's sports. Charlie, this is just common sense, isn't it?
Well, it is for people who have common sense. Like most of my audience know that my daughter was a footballer to a very good standard. She's now an international manager to a very good standard. And women in sport is lovely. It's fine. But when you compare them with men, they are different. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And there's nothing nice about a woman trying to be a man. The reason we love you is because you're different. If we wanted the same, We wouldn't want a woman, we want a man. Wake up. Women in their own way are beautiful. Keep it that way. Stop trying to be men. Stop trying to get into, and the men, stop trying to get into women's sport. It's disgusting. It's morally wrong, and common sense tells you it's wrong. You know, the young boys, the under-12s, who've just beaten the American women at football. In Australia, they've done the same. In the UK, they've done the same. They've done the same in Italy. When are you going to wake up and realise, let women play their game the way that they play it? It's lovely. Stop trying to... The trans movement is something that is there to break down the family. Don't let it happen.
Next up, Nancy Pelosi's daughter Christine is said to be running for the California State Senate. She brings bold new ideas like having the same last name. Critics call it nepotism. The Pelosi's call it family tradition with matching blazers. Keep it in the family.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. If you look at exactly what's happened in the world right now, what happened with Biden? Biden was just a puppet. We all know that now. The person that was pulling the strings was Obama. Don't think for 1 minute that Pelosi hasn't thought this one through. I can get my daughter in, she'll do exactly what I want. What we need is as they would say in Del Boy's world, a new broom for Rodney. A new broom to sweep out the old ones, get rid of the old ones, and let's get some people in, number one, that know how to run a business. And number two, know what it is to work for the people, not for themselves. And if we get there, then we live in a better world. And that was the news on the 11th of the 11th, 2025. Today's your day to manifest what you want and ask God to provide you with what you want. And if you ask it in the right spirit, you'll get it. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye-bye.